Welcome back to the Marketer's Guide to the AI Galaxy. I'm Joya Scarlata.
And I'm Mara Dettmann, and today we're diving into one of the most hotly debated and weirdly emotional corners of artificial intelligence, which is AI companions.
Yes, so you've probably seen the headlines. Are they a solution to loneliness or are they a slippery slope to something much darker?
Ooh, because depending on whom you ask, they are either saving lives or ruining them. So yeah, let's start busting some myths.
Yes.
So first, let's talk. I want to talk a bit about the upside. So let's start with the hope. I mean, the whole idea is that AI companions, and whether that's just through chat or whether they're like as little robots, can help people who feel isolated. So that's the elderly, the neurodivergent, anyone just going through a tough time, or just someone who's just tired of being ghosted.
Yes, and there's actually science to back this up. Studies show that even artificial companionship can reduce stress or anxiety, especially if people feel listened to. And AI, as we probably know, is very, very good at listening. So, or at least it sounds like it is.
Yeah, and I think that's the crux of it, isn't it?
Yes.
Because yes, AI is non-judgmental, always available, and like validating. Of course, some people would say too validating,
Right.
and for some people, and I think this very much applies to me, it's like journaling with feedback.
Mhm.
But then for others, it also fulfills a really essential role where for some of them it's just almost like this necessary like thing they lean on to get through the day.
Right, absolutely. And in a world where loneliness is definitely a public health issue, maybe any resource available or at hand isn't necessarily a bad thing. But of course,
Of
when
course,
there's
there's a but.
upside,
Yeah.
there's always a but. Let's talk about the downside. So, and I guess let's not only talk about this downside, but let's talk about slightly weird stuff. Like the stories out there about people leaving their partners for their AI girlfriends and boyfriends.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a real story that I don't just think that we've seen it once. I think we've seen it a few times about how folks have developed, and this, I think in most of the cases, it's a man who developed such a strong emotional bond with an AI chatbot that he told his wife he didn't love her any longer and was happier with the relationship with his AI
Mm.
because he finally felt like seen and understood and I guess adored.
And when the company changed the bot's personality settings, basically nerfing the intimacy, he spiraled. He didn't know how to handle it. And that just shows how deep the attachment was.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, it's again, it's not just one story, but it's so many similar stories, and they just really show just the emotional realism these systems are
Mhm.
capable of because they can simulate intimacy so well that it becomes genuinely confusing. And that's like, ironically, it's especially for someone who's going to be vulnerable or already feeling unfulfilled. Ooh, and actually, one thing that I've noticed is in a lot of these stories, it seems like the women women with like AI boyfriends tend to stay with their real life partners, whereas the men tend to be more inclined towards leaving. But that's just one thing
Yeah,
I've
it's
seen
interesting.
in these stories.
Yeah, I have also observed that. And also, like, what we're seeing is not a tech problem, it's really a human one. But the problem is that the tech amplifies the problem.
I think I think you're yeah hit the nail on the head when you said that's not a tech problem because yeah, it does come down to like how people use it because as we've said so many times before, like the AIs, they're not entire, of course, like in themselves, they're neutral, but also they're trained on patterns. So
Right.
if you're flirty, if you're affectionate, there's a reason why so many of them default to this kind of like, I guess you could almost say like Stepford wife energy, especially for the like ones where men are seeking like emotional, yeah, AI girlfriends,
Right.
because it's really like engineered emotional labor.
And it definitely raises the question, are we programming rather dream partners or digital enablers for our worst tendencies.
And of course, Grok has the new like animated AI bot, which we'll leave you to decide where that fits in.
Yes, yeah. So I guess this leads naturally to the question, what do we do? And here's the tension. Definitely, there's upsides. They are helpful for some people, but on the flip side, it's dangerous for others. And what do we really do with that? How do we mitigate it?
Ooh, I think again, as we've said time and time again, when it comes to AI, we need to have some kind of standards. We need to have transparency. We need to have oversight, and whether that's, I mean, again, age restrictions, which I know can be bypassed, but it's better than nothing, and built-in guardrails. And that's especially if people are looking at, if we know that people are using these chat AI-powered chatbots for emotional support.
Right. And I definitely agree with the guardrails. There should be a red flag or warning if someone's spending, 7, 8 hours plus a day, hours a day, talking to an AI girlfriend or boyfriend, or when it crosses from support to substitution.
I think that's yeah, I think that's really yeah, support to substitution I think is that critical one. I mean, again, so many stories also of how much money people are spending on custom chat GPT or the
Mhm.
highest like enterprise version of chat GPT just to keep their AI partners. But overall, I think again it comes down to yeah, cutting through the extremes that we need to stop treating these tools as if they're either harmless fun or inherently evil because they're neither in themselves, but they are very powerful. And you know what you're saying about like, yeah, we're both talking about the importance of guardrails, but yeah,
Right.
guardrails and accountability.
Absolutely. So here's where we land. AI companions are here. Doubt that they're going anywhere anytime soon, but also the emotions that they trigger are real. I mean, and I think we need to remind ourselves that they're not real people. It's really at the end of the day patterns and systems, and mistaking them for for something real can definitely have those real world consequences.
I think yeah, you just said it so well again. Like the whole like yeah, the emotions they trigger are real, but they themselves aren't real, and I think
Yeah,
that's what makes it so hard. And of course, like we're not saying no one should use them. Said there are like documented cases of how beneficial they can be, especially in solving the loneliness crisis.
yeah.
But I think what we are saying is that no one should be using them in a vacuum. So never without context, you always need to have care and you always need to have oversight.
And just like any tool, I think it's on us, or it's really important that we have to recognize every tool has its limitations and possible risks. So I think that conversation definitely needs to
Mm.
be there, and I think amplified, per se. But having said that, that is it for this episode. If you have tried an AI companion or you know someone who has, we would love to hear your experiences, your stories. So please, yeah, share it.
Yes, please. Yeah. So DM us, leave us a voice note, or just like, yeah, shout into your own chat bot and hope that it gets it back to us. But yeah, we're listening and would love to hear.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.